never leave a note. Write a note right now. Get a pen and paper out and write that down. Never leave a note. The financial advice of the century. You never need to listen to Jim Cramer again. You never need to listen to that Dave Asperger's guy. People are telling you to sell it while it's high and buy it while it's low. Forget all that. You want financial advice right now. You want to make sure that you don't wipe out your entire financial savings in one door swoop. It's never leave a note. Sure, your whole life people will tell you be an honest person. They'll tell you, hey, you're blessed to have an intelligent father who is a religious individual, and he passed on the wisdom to you that if you hit someone's car, don't leave notes. I'm telling you right now, just walk away. That's what I should have done. Learn from my mistakes. We're going to do a short episode today because there's just one lesson that you need to walk away from. Never leave a note. Don't do it. In this case, I made the mistake of when I was in a stupor, when I just had my head whacked against a car, I didn't have the foresight to realize that I had just been tripped by a trolley line. I was an individual out trying to be healthy, trying to get some fresh air, trying to see all the homeless people that Portland had to offer. And then some rotten trolley line came out of nowhere, tripped me off of my bicycle, took zero responsibility for the incident, and then leaves me with a giant bill of $2,500. Dude, I would have left a note for $300. $300. I'll go, you know what? It wasn't really my fault. That trolley line over there tripped me, but I understand it sucks coming back to, I'm a Subaru lover myself. I don't want to put another Subaru lover out where he comes back and he finds that car door that he loves so very much has a dent in it. But for $2,500, it was the fucking trolley line. I had nothing to do with it. I was just, I was out. I was obeying all the laws of the road. I was wearing my helmet. I was staying under the speed limit. I was looking both ways before crossing the street. And then that dirty, rotten trolley line just came out of nowhere and threw me off my bicycle. So, and I shouldn't have left a note. I should have walked away. As long as I didn't write on a piece of paper saying, hi, I at this time am guilty. And by the way, the only reason I said I was guilty, I'm putting it out there, is because I just whacked my head into a car door. If I was in my right frame of mind and I wasn't all filled with OCD Jew guilt that I could control the universe by doing what wasn't actually the right thing, it's not the right thing to wipe out your entire life savings after an accident with a trolley line. That is not the right thing to do. So don't do that. Once again, don't leave notes. Don't do it. Walk away. Listen to your friend Kyle. Get back on your bicycle while you're still in pain and just return it and walk away from the scene of the crime. It would have been left for insurance to go after the trolley line. I would have been left out of it. Now I'm caught in the middle of apparently replacing a new car door. I'm going to be the owner of a new car door in Portland. You know, every year when I go back there and I hopefully perform for my fellow meatcocks, I'll be able to visit the car door that I purchased for some random individual. So if I haven't made my point clearly enough, don't leave notes. And if it wasn't the fault of the trolley line, does this guy have proof that I put that dent there? Maybe I was confused. Maybe I fell off this bike and I just hit the pavement. It all happened so fast. I can't tell you for fact that I hit this car door, I put this dent there. And how do we know that this guy doesn't like just running into his car door? I can't be sure that he's not a man who just occasionally gets frustrated and decides to kick at his own door. Do you have proof of the fact that this guy isn't running into his own car door? Or that it was me and not the trolley line? Man, there's some motorcycles that are racing up and down my nice quiet block. They should know better. I hope a trolley line comes from them. Those are the type of individuals that need to be tripped by trolley lines, not like men like me. Which brings me to my next point, which is I'm starting an anti-trolley line crusade. I bet I'm not the only victim of being tripped by trolley lines that don't need to exist. There's enough other ways to be getting around. Trolleys, they're not even that much fun to ride. I was once out in San Francisco. I was all excited to ride a trolley line, to hold off the side of it, feel the fresh breeze in your air that you get to do. Usually when you're only a garbage man. Usually the only person who gets to ride around and just smell that fresh breeze of the air, it's dogs putting their head out the window, and people. Why aren't there more vehicles where you get to hang off the back? You know what's actually more fun than sitting in a convertible? My friend got a Jeep, and he took like the roof off, and I found out sitting in the front seat of the Jeep's like not that cool. But if you sit in the back seat of the Jeep and you're like totally out, hair in the wind, you definitely get to just put your tongue out like a dog and enjoy the breeze in your air. What was the point I was trying to make? Something to do with fucking trolley lines. How many individuals out there have been injured harmed by trolley lines, and they don't speak up. They're ashamed. They feel like they were at fault for tripping. They were uncoordinated, and then when they fell over, and really it was the fault of the trolley lines. This is my new crusade. And you can join me in my battling of trolley lines and having to cover car damages. You know how you do that? You support the Black Captain. You go to theblackcaptain.com, and not enough of you have gone to support this. More of you need to be like Mark from out from Portland. A couple people that have listened to it have told me that they absolutely love it. It's changed their life. Their penis started working again. Their wife started sleeping, having sex with them again. They had this new glow about them where even their stock started to rise, and they had so much wisdom in life that when they were tripped by trolley lines and hit into cars, they didn't leave notes. That is what Black Captain is doing for people's lives. It is changing them. They're walking around with a new glow where they don't make reckless financial decisions that will destroy their entire future. So right now, go to theblackcaptain.com. You don't even need a promo code. You just got to spend $20. You get 3 hours of really high-quality audio, scripted comedy content that I know you're going to like. And it will be your way of helping support the fight against trolley lines. Because this is just the beginning. If you think that I'm just going to get into a car week after week and yell about trolley lines and that's the only thing I'm going to do, this isn't the war with Optimum. The war with Optimum, that was a trial line. Oh, wow, these motorcyclists, they're coming back the other way. They went one way. They heard trolley line talk and they're like, we better come back. We better hear the end of what this guy's got to say about trolley lines. And, who knows, maybe if enough of you buy Black Captain, I'll get myself a studio space so you don't have to hear all my ADD commentary of who's out and about in the Springdale area at 11 p.m. All right, next topic. Let's talk about my rental car. Because this is what I figured out. You know what I should have done? Is I should have gone into that rental car, gone back to this guy's car and hit it with the rental, because that rental had a lot of insurance, and it would have been a funny thing to do because the rental car they gave me had about 5 miles on it, which sucks. I don't want a car that new. Don't like, I'm at I'll take your rental car, but can you give me a beater? Can you give me something I can drive like an asshole? They gave me like this new Hyundai, which was kind of fun to drive, but like it beeps every time you're driving like an asshole. And it's like, I'm in a rental car. I want to drive like if you were just kind of driving the way I drive, which is just, weaving in and out of cars. Every time you get like close to it, it just starts beep. It's like, you already beep if I'm not wearing my seatbelt. It's like, what's the point of not having a girlfriend if your car's going to beep at you every time you're doing something like you're just trying to have some fun with your fucking car? How much beeping do they got to make these cars do? It's enough with the fucking beeping. If I don't want to wear a seatbelt, if I want to merge in and out of lanes, if I want to enjoy myself, there's no trolley lines when you're out on the highway. You can speed, you can merge, you can weave, you can have some fun. Whoa, what's with all the beeping? Anyone else have a new car and think there's too much beeping going on? Is there anything I can do? Maybe what I got to do is I got to crash a car after the beeping and then be like, your beeping distracted me, and so this was actually your fault. I need to find myself a good scumbag lawyer. Maybe I'm coming up with more court cases than I can even possibly prosecute or come up with on my own. And if I got myself a good lawyer who could weasel these cases, we could sue the car beepers, and we could go after trolley lines. So, once again, support blackcaptain.com. Which, by the way, with the financial savings tip that I just gave you about not leaving notes, you owe me money. Who knows how much money that will save you in the future when you learn that honesty is just not the best policy. They really lied to us on that one. Just we can't change the systems. We can't change the roads to not having trolley lines. We're forced to exist in a world where if you don't cheat on your college classes, you're going to fail the same thing 4 times with something that will never affect your life or your career. So don't leave notes. And with that financial wisdom that I just gave you and the savings that you might have over the next 60 to 80 years by being a less honest individual, you can afford to spend $20 on the Black Captain so that I can afford $2,500 in car damages. Next topic I want to talk about is I went to see a dermatologist the other day because I spend a lot of time now 3 inches away from a camera, and I got to do my part to try and look a little bit pretty. Because firstly, with the way I'm going bald, if I put on any more weight, I just start looking like Uncle Fester. And then I've noticed I can't shave my head that often because, like, I try and shave it, like, once a week, but not more than that because, like, I get, like, little nips in my head, and it's like, I'm only 30. It's like I'm already bald, and then I'm trying to shave my head, and you get little cuts in there. You start getting, like, a Freddy Krueger head or something like that. So I finally was like, shit, I gotta go see a dermatologist. I'm getting too many little bumps up here. I can't be having scars all over my brain when I'm already balding and combating Uncle Fester look. Now, generally speaking, I find I got a lot of anxiety about seeing doctors. The first one is I hate talking to the nurse. Curb already covered this one. He had the great episode. If you haven't seen it, you can go watch it. I think he ended up with like a hamster in his ass, but like it's the most awkward thing when you got to have a conversation with the nurse, and then you got to have the same, and the nurse can't do anything for you. It's like I don't even want to tell the doctor about my medical problems, but at least he can pretend to fix it. The nurse can just take the notes that the doctor comes in. And why the phone? My fucking phone is beeping. Jesus Christ. Why is my phone beeping? Sorry. I wish you guys all didn't have to hear that moment. But if you could be alone with me in my apartment and see how many times I react like that to random beepings in cars. I mean, I'm the kind of individual, as you just saw firsthand, that when I'm driving a Hyundai and I'm trying to drive it like an asshole on the highway, I can't handle your beepings. I can't handle roads with... Okay, it's enough of that. I'm trying to talk about dermatologists. I don't like seeing doctors because I don't like having to deal with the nurse the whole process. Just let me see the fucking doctor. Let him tell me what my problem is. Let him maybe be able to fix it. The next thing is fucking lab bills. You show up, you think you know what the price is going to be, and then they're like, oh, we're just going to do this. And then you get a bill in the mail. And it's always like there's always more, and insurance is never covering it, and you never feel like you have any control over what you're getting. It's like you go to the restaurant, and then the waiter recommends, hey, you have to try this thing. There's no price in front of you. All of a sudden, you realize you cannot afford that. So that always makes me anxious. The next thing that makes me anxious, I can't tell you how many times I've seen a doctor and they just don't fix things. This goes back to when I was like 22, 23 and I was on my parents' insurance. I remember like at one point I had knee problems. You see your doctor, he tells you got to see the specialist. You see the specialist and like, think about how hard you got to work in your life to put yourself in a financial position, or in this case, my parents were in a financial position where they could afford insurance. So you can actually go and see a doctor. Now everything's just free and government will pay for it. So no one's going to get cared for it. But before, in my head, it was almost like a privilege. Hey, I got parents that can afford to see a doctor. I can actually see this guy. And then like 9 times out of 10, they're just like, I don't know, if it hurts, stay off it and it might get better. And you're like, that's what I just paid you for? And then they're like, well, we can run some tests and charge you some more money. But at the end of the day, we don't really know any. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen a doctor and then just the issue ends up not resolved, or you got to go back 3 or 4 times to then just be like, all right, they're not helping me out here. Or the other thing I've experienced is you show up and sometimes you show up and you find out something's like not a problem. And I wish they would just lie to you so you don't have to feel like a pussy. Like, I almost wish they would, anytime you show up, like, even if it's just like a small headache, for their own salesmanship, they should be like, it is really good that you came in to check this out. It could have been terrible. I reviewed it. You're 100% fine, but you did the right thing coming in here today. I know you thought you had glass in your foot and really it's just a cut and you're a total pussy, but it is a good thing that you came in and you got that checked out. I've had that more than once where you get panicked about something, you show up and the doctor basically just laughs at you and tells you you're a pussy, and that doesn't feel good either. So anyways, in this case, I'm going to see this doctor because I'm trying to avoid getting myself Freddy Krueger face, just trying to stay pretty. And I really just wanted him to address these 2 little bumps I had on my head. No big deal. Just look at these 2 bumps. Tell me what I can do to prevent future bumps. Maybe take off these 2 bumps. We can all move on with our lives. But instead, like a cattle auction, he just starts rambling off everything that's wrong with my skin and everything I need to do to fix it. And I'm like, dude, I'm self-conscious. I wasn't self-conscious about this. I didn't think all these things were a problem. And he gives me like this whole list of shit. And he starts like writing prescriptions. And I'm just like, honestly, I don't think I'm going to go fill that prescription. He's like, no, you got to fill that prescription. I'm like, Jesus Christ, doctor. I was already, on the fence about it. Like, what kind of a douche just instills more fear and self-conscious? Like, dude, you came in here, I'm just going to tell you your skin's pretty shitty, so you better go fill these medications and come back next month because maybe I can help you look less terrible. And it's like, man, all right, thank you. The other thing this guy did was, firstly, it was amazing how many things, like, it's always crazy when you're actually around like smart people that don't do drugs and like they can just do their jobs well and that they do it with like a certain speed and intensity but I guess the difference is that I don't make like $450 every time I decide I can bill your insurance to remove some other random thing. Like if it's almost like pulling a slot machine of what other thing can I find on your body, make you feel self-conscious about, tell you that I can fix and then cash in on. Like the amount of money that guy probably made on me for being in the room for 15 minutes is probably like stupid money. All right. So here was the other thing. At some point, like he pulled down my man and he's like, I'm sure you're vaccinated. I was like, actually, I'm not. And that really pissed this guy off. And he goes, you know, my dad's vaccinated, my aunt's vaccinated, my grandma's vaccinated. It's 100% safe. Y'all, everyone needs to get vaccinated. And then he said two things that I thought were really funny. The first thing is he goes, so why aren't you getting vaccinated? And I realized, like, I don't want to piss this guy off. I don't want to have an argument with him. I'm just trying to get in and out of this office and hopefully not get billed for lab work and need to pick up too many prescriptions or, you know, have this guy fry my face. I don't know what a dermatologist can really do to you, right? So I'm like, I'm trying to bounce. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm just not sure. I might get it down in a bit. I just haven't done it yet. He's like, well, you really should. And then here was the first thing I thought was funny. He was like, so I'm just out of curiosity, where do you get your information from? And then I was like, dude, I'm exactly the misinformation that, like, here you are, you're a medical professional and you're pretty sure that that these things are a good idea and you got more experience with medicine than I do and you want people to have that perspective. And sadly for you, you've got fucking idiots like me talking to a couple people a week, like, where am I getting the information from? No, what you got to be concerned about is there are a lot of fucking people getting their information from me. And then the other thing he said, which was just insane, which I wasn't going to argue with him on, but the second he said that, I was like, he was like, it's not going to get back to normal until 90% of people get the vaccine. So firstly, that doesn't even make sense. Why is there no concept of like natural immunity? That just can't be true. We don't need 90% of people to be getting this vaccine in order to go back. And then I also hate this line of, we're going to get back to, like, I've been living pretty normal. I've been out and about. You know what wasn't normal? It was government taking control and telling us all that we needed to stay in our homes to protect the elderly. That's the not normal part. And firstly, that policy didn't even make sense because, you know, the elderly, I think they like staying home anyways. And if we all had worked through this entire thing, we probably would actually have more money to be able to support the elderly. I'm also warning, you're going to hear this joke in stand-up, but like, when did it become that if an old person can't do something, the rest of us aren't allowed to do it either? In this case, it was we all wanted to go to work. But like just the idea of if an old person can't do it, nobody, like, are we not going to have sex anymore? Like granny's got a dry vagina, so no one gets to have sex anymore. When did that become normal? So this whole like hostage situation logic of people that because there was a government overreaction to this thing and that we didn't get to live a normal life, the only way to get back to normal is by taking this vaccine. I'm calling bullshit on that. Not normal was the government's reaction to this virus. And if we want to get back to normal, we have to fix the safeguards of the Constitution or whatever the hell else is supposed to exist that keeps government from just going authoritarian and telling us that we're not allowed to make our own decisions about risk. We're not allowed to show up to our businesses. And that if we don't take vaccines, we have to be tracked. We have to have passports. We're not allowed to get on planes. We're not allowed to go into businesses. That we're some sort of a second-class citizen. And this logic of that I need to take it to protect anybody else. Go fucking take it. You're allowed to, if you believe in the vaccine and you make your own equation about risk, you can go get that vaccine and you can be protected and we can all move on with our lives. The idea, because he even said that to me, he's like, you know, and it's not about you, it's about the old people. Well, then the old people can go get it. If anything, I would be making a better contribution. You can say that I'm willing to donate my own self and my resources to being within the control group, or if there's going to be variance or something, I would think that maybe from a math perspective, maybe it's great if half the people have natural immunity because they were exposed, and then there's another subgroup of people that have protection because they got these shots. Maybe that's an overall better immunity because it's almost like a diversified portfolio of immunity, and that's going to help the old people even more. And if we really cared about the old people, we would have just all been out working, contributing to society and getting to herd immunity longer, And how much resources do we have to give to the fucking old people of this country? I'm not even kidding. Like, how much of our wealth have they robbed through all of the fucking social programs, social benefits that the baby boomers, how much do we have to donate to the fucking old? What are the old people like? You know what? Maybe if every old lady started a free cookie stand outside of their home, where because we had to sacrifice our youth, we had to give so much of the least they can do is make us some fucking cookies. Just be out there. If you start, hey, free sandwiches from Granny, where they start providing lunch for the rest of us on a daily basis. What contribution are the old giving to us? And now, back to another point about the vaccine that I was thinking about. And then I heard Rand Paul say something similar, but okay, if you believe the CDC, so that's the reason why you're behind this vaccine, you think that the CDC or whatever the technical guidance is correct. Well, I didn't socially distance at all. And now I'm not trying to I get nervous saying that because I don't try and tempt fate, and I don't try and get too bold or cocky with my actions. I did not socially distance. I did shows. I was out and about. I did not socially distance. Based on the CDC's logic, at this point, I would have more corona than the lab that they built this thing in. I've been everywhere. It's like that Johnny Cash song. You could repurpose that, but just I've been everywhere and got Corona Man or something. I'm not going to sing it, nor did I. Maybe me and the Shedcast boys, we can do another round of karaoke, even though I don't think you guys like that much. I don't think anyone hit me up all summer going, hey, I'm loving myself Shed karaoke. Anyways, if the CDC, if everything they've been saying is true, then for the amount of out and aboutness I have been, there is no chance that I haven't been exposed to this thing, and then there would be no reason for me to get the vaccine. Rand Paul, he put it really, he had an interesting take where he kind of put the burden of proof back on the vaccines, which was until you can prove to me that there's actually some sort of a risk of infection when I know I have natural immunity from having gotten the virus, so that there's massive amounts of death from people that have already had corona, why would I go get this thing? They're trying to run with this narrative of it's just, there's no reason not to do it. It's the only way to get back to normal. You got to protect old people. And so it's on you. It's like some guilt trip thing that you're being a piece of shit if you don't get, how about the burden of proof is on you that this thing is worth putting into my body. And if I've already had corona, then it would seem to me like there's no reason for it. Or if, I guess in my stupid claim, if you've been out and about enough and you haven't gotten it, then I guess you've got, maybe I got to continue drinking. I've kind of laid off, but maybe that's the secret ingredient. Maybe 10 years from now, they'll figure out that, booze was really, here was the other thing that Rand Paul said. And I pointed this out, that our entire calculation of coronavirus being super deadly is before they figured out the steroids and other things to give to you if you ended up in the hospital. So both Rudy Giuliani, Trump, and the big fat guy who managed to survive it, Chris Christie, all of those guys got coronavirus. They gave them some shit in the hospital, and they were fine. So what you remember from a full year ago when people were being hospitalized and then putting on ventilators, which turned out to be a mistake, and, the death numbers were higher then. So even that is not relevant to now. We are now better at treating this. There are more options. There's still no fucking conversation about whatever that parasite thing that Sam Parker was telling about, that cheap medication that can combat parasites. I forget the name of it, but there are steroids and some other thing that they were using for, I think, bronchitis. That Rand Paul was saying, as long as it's before your first cough, eliminates eliminates a lot of what would have made this deadly. So our memory from a year ago of saying that this is a deadly virus that will kill people, I'm not sure if that is still as true today, as they have new procedures for treating this thing. And if big fat fuck Chris Christie could survive it, I think that should be the commercial. If you want it to be like, America, you can reopen, there used to be the Uncle Sam, like I pick you. It could be just Chris Christie, and he's like, if I got through this, you can get through this. If somehow my big fat corpse lard ass of a body could survive around with corona thanks to science that did not include these vaccinations. It could almost be Chris Christie could do the campaign for get back to work. And Giuliani, his face fucking melts on television. He can't tuck his own pants in, and he managed to survive it. Trump is a quasi-tard who eats mayonnaise and rice for most of his meals, walks around saying that everything's amazing, and then left the presidency to make no money on a blog until I think his loans expire, and then he probably just kills himself, and he survived it. The point being, the idea that there will just be widespread death without the vaccines is probably not an accurate claim. So if there's any one show topic here that's probably gotten a little boring, it is the vaccine talk, but they're not going away. They keep pressing on us, so I'm just going to recap some of my current arguments against it. The newest one, if you follow the CDC or government protocol for how to avoid COVID, with the suggestion being that you were significantly at risk for contracting COVID if you engaged in the activities that most of the people listening to the show did, which was being not socially distanced. So then if the CDC is a person that is to be believed, there would be no reason for you to get to the vaccine because, according to their logic, you would have certainly have been exposed to the virus. And I guess if you never showed symptoms, you probably had it and you got good immunity for this thing. That's one. Two, for people trying to say that it's completely safe, I like asking the questions. Well, how long until you're going to need a booster? They don't know. Why don't you know? It's new. Okay. Are there any other vaccines that you don't know how long it's going to be good for? So it sounds like they don't know everything about this one because, like you said, it's new. And since it's new, I'm going to wait to see. Which is my next one I'm not saying I'm anti-vaccines. I'm not telling anyone that they shouldn't get it. Please, everyone go get it. I almost feel this is where I'm being a little bit of a piece of shit. I almost feel relieved being around people that got the vaccines because talk about being a free rider. Now, I don't have to worry about you infecting me. I don't have to worry about me infecting you. Not even sure there was that much of a risk or I really was that concerned about it, but now I don't have to think about that whatsoever. And then at the same time, if people's dicks fall, I didn't take it, so, you're going to have to deal with that problem. That's a you issue. So I almost feel relieved. Like, the more people that take this thing, the more I don't have to worry about the corona, the more freedom that they will return to us. And, the more test subjects will be in on this giant experiment to see if mRNA vaccines work, and hopefully they do work, and then, we can continue using them. Here's one thing that does fear me, and I think I might already mention some part of the problem, but I wonder if now, like, I go to the gym and there's a sign there that says if you've been totally vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. Which makes me feel like, and by the way, already, like when I was in the swimming pool, I was mostly pulling down my mask. When I was going to the gym, I was pulling down my mask. Most other people were pulling down their masks. It was just kind of unspoken rule. You wear it under your nose. That's what everyone was doing. But now I kind of feel like I just wonder if they're going to enforce some sort of liability if down the line, especially because I got to look this one up. But I remember that they passed some sort of a weird law that if you were knowingly spreading the virus, I don't think nobody was prosecuted for this, but I do think they put some sort of a technical law in the book that was floating the word terrorism, and I got to go look that one back up because I don't want to be totally Alex Jones here and scaring the shit out of people for things that I'm mostly unsure about. But I do wonder if you're in places that have a sign that say that you have to wear a mask unless you're vaccinated, and you ignore that sign, and then you end up getting corona, like you test positive somewhere. Are they able to review footage of places that you were supposed to be wearing a mask and didn't wear a mask, and impose some sort of a financial or other liability on you for spreading the virus? Now, I don't legally think that, or you know what? Maybe I can make the libertarian argument that if I'm a private business owner and I tell you under the honor system that you're allowed into my business, but only if you're telling me that you've been vaccinated, and I essentially lie to the person and don't follow his protocol because I am not wearing a mask when he's told me you can be here while wearing a mask, and then presuming that they can easily, they know where we are all the time, and there's enough cameras, there's enough, they just don't kind of cop to that technology or quite use that technology, because they would probably need some sort of a warrant to say, hey, we're tracking your phone record. And then from there, which would be interesting, we're not that many laws away from this. The law would be if you test positive for corona, right? Then maybe, I don't know, they assign some detective, and that detective is able to get a warrant for your phone records for your location. Then he's able to go to those locations, pull the security footage of timings that you were there to see whether or not you were wearing a mask, and then they impose some sort of a liability on you. I really don't think any of this is going to happen, but it's something I was thinking about, and if I were the government, and I guess I was trying to enforce people getting the vaccines, even though I don't think that they should be. But I'm just saying, if I was the government, I wanted to enforce people to get vaccines, and I couldn't get the I couldn't get the law passed for corona passports, or I couldn't get people to opt into the tracking technology that I would like to be using. The next piece of leverage I would try and exert on people is financial repercussions for being non-compliant. In other words, making it just very expensive for taking on risk of, I guess, just violating, government laws that they're putting on the books. It's not that much different than even a speeding ticket where, in a school zone, they'll drop down the speed limit on you on Sundays. If a cop needs to fill his quota, they'll sit there and try and bust you, or they'll put up red light cameras. They'll put up laws just so they can extract money from you. And this might be like the same way I think most of the DUI laws are probably on the books for the same reason. They're a fucking moneymaker for the state. Not that I'm not saying that no one's ever got in a car and done something dumb when they're drunk, but I do bet that a lot of the drunk driving protocol and infrastructure is there and not going away because it is a moneymaker. In the same way, you could theoretically have a financial penalty network for non-compliance for activities such as wearing masks and spreading viruses. Will we get there? I don't know. I'm just floating it out there. Okay, here were some of my other anti-vax arguments. The fact that they are calling this a vaccine is in some way marketing. It is not a traditional vaccine, as was pointed out by the molecular biologist we had on a couple weeks ago. Vaccines expose you to the virus so that your body responds to it and learns how to respond to it. This works in the opposite way, where it gives you the proteins, or it gives you the response, so that your body knows how to respond, but it's giving you the response. It's not giving you the virus to respond to. It is fundamentally different. The other thing is the absolute risk reduction argument. When they're telling you that it's 95% effective, they're not actually telling you how much it's reducing your risk. I've seen some crazy low figures in terms of the absolute risk reduction from taking this, which would obviously make a substantially different equation in the risk of putting a new technology into your body. Now, for all these people calling you a dumbass if you haven't taken it, if you ask them, well, do you understand what your absolute risk reduction was by taking this? They won't even know what the fuck you're talking about. The point being, if that's not a question that they've even considered, how can they possibly tell you that you're a dumbass for having not gotten this? Obviously, as I've mentioned, it's new and different. And then the last one being that the companies that are only putting this out because of the fact that they can't be sued. And if they're really that confident that this is a good product and that no harm or bad will come from it, then they should be more than willing to take on the liability of if anything does go wrong. And then here's the last one for why for now, I'm just not touching this. And I promise you for the next couple weeks, I'm going to try and steer away from this topic because I do feel like I've gotten a little bit repetitive on this one. And there's still a lot of other interesting news stories to talk about. And honestly, if it turns out that I'm completely wrong on the idea that we shouldn't have gotten the vaccines, once again, I'm not your doctor. Go have a conversation with your personal doctor. If that guy thinks it's a good idea for you, I'm not here to fucking tell you otherwise. With that being said, it's just, to me, it's a personal liberty thing that in some way I need to feel like I have lived my life with a little bit of freedom. And if you follow the news in the way that I do, and you see some of just the false narratives and the way that they get corrected down the road. The best example over the last couple of years would just be the whole fucking Russia collusion story and the way that they yelled and screamed about that and were just wrong. And that's not the only example. It's just the biggest example that's coming to mind. And then you see the way that they shut down the economy here. Like, you just look at all the things that they do, and you're just like, you're lying to me. And then all of a sudden, they concoct a new thing where they tell you that you're going to have to put this into your body if you want to live a normal, like, it's too much. It's too much where I got to just, like, I'm not doing that. Like, you're not going to twist my arm and have my relatives shame me into getting a shot for something that I just don't feel comfortable with. And down the road, I might feel comfortable with, might not even be a problem. It's just the way that they're exerting force through shame and threats for something that they can't totally prove to be safe, and that they won't even take the risk. Like, you won't take the risk on yourselves as this being safe that I can sue you, but you will shame me. It feels very much like when you get pulled over by a cop and just like the language they use to kind of get you to incriminate yourself, where like they tell you, well, hey, this roadside, it's 100% voluntary, and there's no, well, what happens if I don't, it's 100% voluntary, and it's on you. It's like, it's just this, like, weird shame trick to try and get you to do something where the burden of proof for you, it should be on you to sell me that this thing is actually going to be helpful. And when I just look back at all the lies and misinformation to me about the risk of this virus, the fact that we need to shut down the economy, the backwards thinking here, both that from the beginning of this thing that we needed to shut down. Everyone should be able to make their own personal decision about whether or not they want to run their business or whether or not they want to sit at home. Government does not have enough money for us to be printing $9 trillion and just pretending like we can afford everything and handing checks to fucking people. Old people, I'm not putting them at risk. If this vaccine is as good as you guys say it is, every single old person in the country can go get this thing. There's just so much like flawed logic and like guilt and bullying and just what to me is lies and bullshit and threats that I just have to go, to some extent, I'd at least like to feel like I'm a free person where I get to decide I'm not getting a shot because you're just basically threatening me with freedom that I'm supposed to naturally have. There's just something about the whole framework that maybe me and the other people listening to this, we're putting ourselves at risk because we're just stubborn assholes who are just saying no because they're telling us that we have to do something. And believe me, if I've got a flaw in my personality, it's that I'm very quick to saying fuck you and just not liking authority in general and not like being told what to do. And that definitely is not a overall good character trait, and it's definitely something that can come at times with
what, Rob? With what? What's up, everybody? All you run your mouthers, or whatever he calls you. It's Sid here. Not sure what happened to the audio, but it looks like Rob got cut off mid-thought. So as I transition you into part 2 from the Shed with Mike Nice, I'm going to play a little snippet of a song off our new EP, the Blue Plate Special. I'll be playing the whole thing at the end of this episode. And just don't pay attention to any of the fucking bullshit that they're about to talk about me, because they're fucking liars. And taking it a little too far, calling me a federal agent. And you know what? Maybe I am a big dog. And if you can't play with the big dogs, Ronnie, stay on the fucking porch, baby.
Shot my way out. I started shooting, so I blasted my way out of there.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the second half of the Run Your Mouth podcast. And I know that that's weird because you were just listening. You didn't think that there was going to be a second half, but I was recording the first half from my car, and then I was just in like the train station parking lot, and this cop started scoping me out, and I was like, I think he knows that I'm speaking out against the vaccines. I better pack it in. So now I'm back in the shed, which I have not been here in forever. I got Mike Nice hanging out with me. What's up, Mr. Nice?
Hello, hello.
Been a long time. We haven't even Shedcast in a while. I missed the shed from my life.
Yeah, I think it's been at least 2, maybe 3 weeks.
And it's mostly Sid's fault because he's just been like really invested into big dogging us.
I have noticed.
I feel like we were catching a good flow. We were in a good rhythm. We were hitting our stride. And then for some reason, Sid's just like, you know what? I got 2 friends in the world, and I'm going to impose that I'm better than them.
Yeah, I don't know what his deal is.
Yeah, he's busy with like a work project or something. All right, so I don't know where I was on the last topic. I know that I was ranting about freedom, liberty, not getting the vaccines. I mean, I'm looking at Mike Nice. I can see what it did to him, and it's disgusting. So I don't think any more evidence needs to be said about why you shouldn't get the vaccine. So I'll just move on to my next topic, which is Prince Harry is going for the whiniest bitch of the universe award. I don't even know what his newest show with Oprah is, but he's just out there and he's whining away. He's like doing these these bird motions to tell you how he calms his anxiety. And in any other era of human history, this would have been the lamest thing in the world. Like back in the day, I think princes used to, or at least in movies, they'd be like, I want to go fight with that army. Let me put on my night costume. I'm not a putz. I can get out there. But this is 2021. And if you want to become the king, you know what's cool now? It's being the whiniest bitch. It's being a person who grew up a privileged lifestyle and still just being like, it doesn't matter that I've got these millions of dollars. It doesn't matter that I've got this hot wife, Hollywood lifestyle. I can still be a whiny bitch. And that's going to be his pathway for kingdom, is that everybody else, like the entire rest of their thing is not woke. And he's showing, listen, in the world of whiny bitches, I'm the whiniest of the bitches, and that's how he's going to retake over England as king.
I want to add one thing, too.
Please.
They stopped fucking princesses. All these princes are fucking the commoners now.
Oh, you mean back in the day? This is why you needed to fuck a princess, because they would tell you, hey, you're the prince, quit being a whiny bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
But you go fuck some fucking... It's not like she was a commoner. She was gorgeous.
But also Markle is she's a American. Like, they're all doing it.
Oh, yeah, that's true, too. If you were to, like, do a ranking...
But she's not a commoner.
...of Hollywood asses I'd like to eat, Megan's would have to be up there.
Yeah.
You never watched...
I'm not too familiar with her. But
You never watched... I ended up watching a lot of Suits just because of her. In terms of being full of shit, like, this might even top Justin Bieber's loneliness. I think this is like setting a new bar. And you want to talk about people being full of shit. There was a New York Post article about Bernie Sanders and his demands for only flying in private jets and being in nice hotel rooms. And after all, I mean, being a socialist is exhausting. You're going to need to have the nicest of items and the finest of resources if you really want to be able to go out there and be a successful socialist. And when you're trying to convince the world that the planet's about to die because of global warming, you can't fly commercial. I mean, you're in a race against time. You really got to consume a lot of fossil fuels to convince other people that they shouldn't be using fossil fuels. So I'm just saying, nobody should be getting upset about Bernie Sanders. He's out there trying to convince people about the benefits of socialism, and the only way that you can do that is by living an extravagant lifestyle. So go look that one up. He had some weird quirks. It's like, this was great. He was like, if the room wasn't at 60 degrees, he was calling down, so you guys don't want me to be able to sleep while I stay in this hotel? I told you, if I don't have the luxury suite, if I don't have the gray M&Ms, and I don't have a room set to exactly the right degrees with exactly the blanket that I'm looking for, I cannot sleep. And if I cannot sleep, that is an injustice. I will not be able to bring equality. There are other people who are not able to have these kind of luxuries, and so I have to experience all of the luxuries so that I can explain to people what it is that they don't have. Moving on. Next story. Did you see that New York Post article?
I did not, no.
Well, he's lucky. Work is a serious issue. I don't know if you know this, but this was a headline this year that 745,000 people a year die of work. And that's a friendly reminder. If anyone ever tells you you're being lazy, you can let them know, like, dude, you don't want to work too hard. It's deadly. 745,000 people a year die of working too hard. So, like, I'm not being lazy. I'm looking out for my own health. You got to think about these things. And if you need to chill the hell out, it's a good time to plug our sponsor, Yo Delta. You know what Yo Delta is? It's for people over the age of 21. It's legal in a lot of states, and it will get you fucked up. Mike Nice, give them the report as you dip into your thing of gummies, because it comes in gummies, it comes in cartridges. You're a lifelong drug addict, so give us the honest review of what you think of Yo Delta.
The flavors are actually amazing. Like, this sour green apple is not like the best of all flavors, but this one's pretty good. And for me, edibles is okay, don't affect me too much, but everyone I've given these gummies to,
Knocked out.
oh, they're knocked out. Or like they're good. They're feeling it. So I've had really good reviews from them.
So there you go. The endorsement from a lifelong drug addict who's barely getting by since he got the vaccine. He's slowly wilting away. He looks terrible. And the only thing that's managed to get him through this is Delta 8 products. Go to yodelta.com. And if you use promo code, I think it's FIRE. Maybe it's 20% off, 25%. Just go fucking stock up. It's drugs. Y'all like drugs. It's going to get you high. It's got a good price, high quality products. I've taken their cartridges, which are excellent. I've yet to delve into the gummies because I can't go that deep yet.
And I'll do it also.
Oh, there.
It also tastes amazing. I didn't press a button, but I'm actually amazed at how good it tastes.
There you go. Smooth hit. He gets the Shedcast endorsement.
Yes, it does.
Yo Delta. And while you're there, they got their sister site, Yo Kratom, home of the $6 kilo, where, of course, you can load up on all of your kilo needs. Now, let's get into some random headlines. Bill Gates took a turn for the fucking worse, dude. I was buying into his sweater. Like, he was walking around with the sweater. He's turning fecal matter into glasses of water. He's talking about helping people out, and he's such a dork. He's striking me like he's a nice guy. Like, I was kind of falling for it, and then people were telling me, no, this isn't a nice guy. He's an evil guy. All of these things that he's pretending to do in the name of charity, he's really doing it to try and control the world. He's looking to, bring down the world's population. This guy is a man who was profited off of his shitty Microsoft software, and now he's moving on to his next industries. And I'm like, all right, maybe that sounds a little bit too out there. I feel like I look at him and I don't look at this guy and go, wow, that guy seems evil. And now it's amazing how just divorcing your wife, like the story's starting to turn. Like, people are starting to turn on him. Before I continue this, Mr. Nice, what's your general take on Bill Gates?
I think it's tough, but there's a lot of red flags with him, and I've seen a lot of things that don't make sense. Well, it makes sense, I guess, for what he's doing, but
I think people, like, every time I've heard Warren Buffett's got a similar thing to him where he pretends like he's just the nice guy, but then I hear him talk about the junk food he's eating and his love of Utz food, and I'm like, this guy's just a sales guy. He's just a sales guy. He's just selling you on the McDonald's and Coca-Cola's okay because he's invested in those companies. He's just a sales guy.
Absolutely.
These people are salespeople, and they're salespeople at the absolute top level with probably the least morals, that they're willing to just play the game to make that money. Bill Gates, here's the one that kind of somewhat changed my opinion. So they're talking about how he's got this side piece that he gets to go away once a year with, which you can't blame him for cheating on Mickey Rourke. If you're married to Mickey Rourke, you can't fault the guy for wanting to step out of his marriage. Also, when you've got billions, it's hard to just stay with one. Like, you feel like you've conquered the world. I deserve more than one wife. And I feel like that's a reasonable claim once you make it it should be like the polygamy law, that if you got over $1 billion, everyone respects the fact that you get to have a couple wives. Like, that should, and by the way, it's better for those women because if every billionaire can only have one wife, how many women can be married to a billionaire? So you got to think about it this way. You're actually expanding the opportunity for women to mate with a wealthy guy, have children that are taken care of, and live a decent life. And so it's almost, listen, if Bill Gates can only marry one wife, there's going to be some lady that gets stuck with the dude who's yelling in a shed. But we can save that lady by letting Bill Gates marry. Like, think about, do the math. How many women could Bill Gates marry and leave with $1 million? That's a lot of I'm not good at math, but he's got, $70 billion or some shit? That's a lot of women he could be fucking and leaving kids that are millionaires. So why are we stopping? We should be encouraging them, because that's saving a lady from ending up with some poor fucking schmuck. This is a way to save women. Anyways, what I think I was trying to get at.
It's sound.
It's sound logic.
Yeah,
it's the pro-feminist argument for why wealthy men should be able to fornicate with more women. What I was trying to say is there was a story about Bill Gates where he's on the beach with this lady, and he's talking about how he can see his company getting to he can see himself getting to $500 million in revenue, but he can't see past that. And when I read that in the article, I was like, okay, I already can't relate to this guy. Like, you kind of project yourself onto another individual where I go, I'm not this evil, so I don't really think that somebody else would be that evil. I don't really think that someone would create a malaria drug just so he can kill off people that are in Africa. I don't know that that's a specific Bill Gates claim. I'm just saying I hear that, and I'm like, nobody wants money that badly. But then when you tell me about a guy who's not satisfied with $500 million, and he's actually standing there, venting to his side piece about how he can't see himself getting to the tube. I already can't relate to this guy's logic. His brain, I mean, clearly his brain works differently. He's a fucking genius billionaire. But I'm just saying, like, he has a different motivation for power than I can even possibly comprehend. So once I have to put his brain into the category of I cannot comprehend this guy's motivation or thinking patterns, because I'm lazy as fuck. You give me $1 million, that means I can spend the next 10 years at home jerking off eating cookies. Like, I'm good. I'm like, holy shit, fucking $1 million, you kidding me? I don't have to do anything. This is great. So I'm just saying, like, now to make that leap to, hey, this guy is evil, it's not that crazy. And it's funny that, like, sometimes it just seems like the wheel turns where all of a sudden, like, that's what happened with Cosby. It was one news story from Hannibal Buress speaking out against him that all of a sudden the entire machine turned against him. And they're like, oh shit, we can report on this? And then within 3 months or 4 months, 6 months, whatever it was, he's in jail. It's really interesting when the machine actually turns on you. These headlines have already slowed down, but it will. Someone threw an interesting theory at me, was that the reason that the storyline started coming out was that Melinda is really trying to get that money. And so she started leaking little stories to be like, dude, you better cut me a big fucking check or I'm going to start talking about Epstein. I'm going to start talking about all this shit that was going on. So you better cut me that check. Like, don't think you're getting out of this one easy. Next random ass headline was Barack Obama was in the New York Post. There was a part where he was kind of talking about these UFO sightings. And it's amazing how, 10 years ago, if you were talking about UFOs, the only people that were talking about it were, these fucking hicks talking about aliens going up their rectums, and people in government would be like, yeah, the aliens don't give a shit about your rectum. There aren't even any aliens. Now, it's like the official government narrative is even the senators are like, yeah, we want to know why there's things above our military institutions, and how come I can't. They're always more upset than you are. Like, you ask them and they're like, I'm more upset than you are. We need to protect our American bases, and if there's something above them that we don't understand, you think you're upset about this, I'm upset about this. The UFO thing is interesting that it's slowly leaking in the news. I've never been a person who really cared for that topic. I've kind of felt like I don't know. There's no way to know. I don't need to go down rabbit holes of the internet, and they always the problem with them is they always overplay their cards. Like, I remember watching, like, on the Discovery Channel, the documentary, they'd be like, the famous incident of it's not that famous. I hadn't heard about it until I watched this. It's not like, you know what I mean? They pretend like it was, it happened yesterday down the street. Everyone knows about it. What's your take? You think, they're priming us? They're getting us ready for some sort of a big announcement of that, aliens are real? Because it feels like the government is more open to leaking this information or being open to the idea of, hey, this option does exist. Like, they're not trying to shut it down, which does make me somewhat wonder, like, do they know a lot more than they're telling us, and they're kind of getting us ready to make some sort of a reveal?
I don't know. I think I would like it to be aliens, but I think maybe it might be, like, our technology that we might be like, yo,
we just don't want no one to know about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I went so, gangster on that. We don't want no one to know. Yeah. No, ain't nobody going to know about our tech.
And maybe they were gonna start releasing some of the information of what we have now. Like, hey, listen, we've got this shit now.
Oh, but then there
would have to be like a Men in Black type thing.
But then they'd be releasing footage of their own military planes. But it could be that, like, the CIA has the advanced weaponry, and people in our own military basically caught it, and so the army doesn't want, like, the upper branches of the CIA don't want to admit to the fact that they've got this technology.
So you know how they were meeting with that thing in the ocean,
right?
And they talk about fucking the lizard people that live in the middle of the earth,
right?
Maybe you get in there through the ocean.
You get into
the middle of the earth through a portal in the ocean, not up at the top where the North Pole where they think it is. They think there's a hole in the top of the planet.
What does that have to do with the UFOs? You
that it's not UFOs. It's actually
too
people.
Much Delta 8.
So the UFOs are actually inside the Earth.
You think it's Middle Earth people?
Yeah. they have high, like almost like Black
feel
Panther,
like if,
Black Panther shit.
I feel like if there were Middle Earth people, they'd be able to blend in real good.
Yeah,
I don't think they would need to
well,
be.
doesn't
flying
Black
around.
Panther like have all that technology no one knows about?
Yes.
So that's kind of
All right. Next random topic is there was the hacker group DarkSide who took over that major pipeline in the U.S. They held them hostage and they got that payout. Now, this is going to be a news story that we will see a lot of because as these people make more and more money, it means it's like any other business. It's a growth opportunity. They can hire more and more hackers. They can keep pulling these stunts. So it's fascinating because obviously I don't endorse like hacking pipelines, but it is fucking some pirate shit. Like it's pretty cool that, random Russian gang is able to extract millions of dollars from a U.S. company. And it also just makes me feel good. Like there's some... I'm not a fan of I have friends. They'll go rob Macy's and be like, "Well, fuck them. They're a corporation." I never felt that way. I'm like, I don't want to contribute to thievery. It's one of the
because that's their business, and
it's not just that. It's like one of the principles. Even if you're a libertarian, one of the principles is private property. So I want to contribute to like a working world order. Like I feel like that erodes the fabric of the foundation for what a good society is for. So not endorsing it, but from watching Hollywood movies, it's pretty fucking cool that some random people are able to take hostage like critical infrastructure and be like, pay me. I was also thinking I want to write this Hollywood movie of the person that like after this shit happens, the CIA guy that goes over there to just start fucking hunting these people down. Like they're getting that money back. Like the corporation's like, we'll pay the ransom, but call Rambo, ship him over to Russia. We're getting the fucking money back.
that'd be cool.
Yeah, because they're playing against some big, some big players.
But did they pay?
What?
Or are they still not paying yet?
No, they paid. They paid right away. And the U.S. government didn't want them to pay because they don't want to incentivize more of it because it's like essentially giving money to the people you're playing against. It's like when at war you capture your enemies like military stockpiles, and then not only do you have that victory, you got all their gear.
But to them, was it worth it to just, hey, let's pay it so we can get our fucking oil running back again or whatever it is, gas? I wonder.
Yeah, no, because apparently I guess I don't know the full story, but they wanted to move on from it. And then other thing I don't endorse, but just sounded cool. This was another New York Post article that the Pentagon reportedly is running a secret global army of 60,000 people. Like they've got a giant payroll of like just special ops people. And like, what are these special ops people even doing? Like, I'm sure I would say every single one of them is bad, but just being a fan of like the show 24, like we're like, that just sounds fucking awesome that we've got 60,000 black op people like just across the world running fucking.
You think across the world or in the country?
Who knows? They could be coming for us. They could be. You could be one of them right now,
I wish,
Sid.
Dude,
working for the fucking.
Yeah, he probably is. I wish I was.
Yeah, well, maybe that's why he's big dogging us. He's like all tied down with his corporate orders. All right, here's the last news story I'm going to highlight, and this one made me super happy. The price of woke corporate politics. So some of America's prominent CEOs have been getting political, as in woke political, and perhaps they figured it was cost-free. They are now learning the hard way that it isn't, as national advertising campaign targets their brands and credibility. This comes right out. I was talking about this on Part of the Problem, that we need to run more of these like political ads. And then I was also talking about in my end of year special about the bullshit of actually, I don't know if that made it to what firstly, I should stop calling it a special. It was just something I recorded in a room and tried to get out. Secondly,
what else would you call it?
I don't know. Just run your mouth end of year
project,
something. Yeah, I should just put a different word on it.
It's a special.
A sloppy.
An album. It could be an album because you can break it up.
Something like that. I don't know if it actually made it to what I put out because it got a little. You know what? I don't have to talk about it, but I was saying we need to push back on these corporations that are actually spending their money invested in these leftist ideas that will kill us all. It's the fucking censorship shit. It's all of this woke nonsense. It's all this stuff that tells me that I'm not allowed to have my opinions or speak my point of view. And most of my point of view is, hey, let's use some critical reasoning and let's end the Fed. Nothing I have to say is that crazy. I usually don't even take hard stances on most things. I just say, here are some things that you consider, and this is to them flagrant. And by the way, all their fucking censorship, like, Sam Parker we had on a couple weeks before coronavirus outbreak, and he got taken off of Twitter saying that this was from a lab, and now that's okay. So how many of the things that people are saying are you guys trying to censor? And that's the entire point. It's like the people that are right are the ones that you've been censoring, so stop fucking censoring people. It turns out that having a diverse amount of point of views, like it's amazing that if their track record on censorship was good, you go, okay, maybe there's an argument there. But if you're repeatedly censoring things that turned out to be accurate, then you have to go, oh, I guess we need to stop doing this because our censorship is just of true information. We've got a filter on the internet now where if you're saying something's true that is actually true, we're going to make sure to remove it. So continuing here, the campaign launched Tuesday by a consumers research, a conservative nonprofit. I would love to get a job with these people. Takes aims at Nike, Coca-Cola, and American Airlines, but others could be the target. Says Will Held, Executive Director of Consumer Research. The 30-second spots will air on national cable news as well as in local markets where the companies are headquarters. The nonprofit said, one source said the overall ad buy could be up to $13 million. You know what's great? Like an ad just like, we want to remind you that Nike hates you. If you are a conservative individual, here is how Nike is spending its money to stifle your opinions and your point of view. Nike hates you. They want to remake the world so that it excludes you from being in it. Like, just fucking get to the point. Don't support these companies. They are spending their money against you.
Oh, yeah. And Nike is dirty. I don't know if I heard this, but they supposedly they would ask China, like, are our shoes being made with slave labor? And they're like, well, do you want Nikes? And they're like, well, then we won't ask.
Wait, who?
So, like, you know, like in China, they use a lot of slave labor to make their make the shit, and all of our shit is made there. And so Nike was like, hey, is it? We would like to know. We just want to know. And they were like, but do you want sneakers?
Right.
And they're like, okay, forget what you asked.
Jesus. Did you see John Cena got in trouble? No. He got bitched out so good. Really? So he accidentally said that he's excited that, like, the movie's coming out in Taiwan. Like, he didn't even say anything that offensive.
Oh, because it's Taiwan.
F9 is such a big movie and, like, they want to play it in China. Mm-hmm. He had to record a message of him speaking in Chinese saying that he loves the Chinese people and he would never offend them. And, like, he got bitched out. Oh, he literally got bitched out. New York Post put that article up just to be like, yeah, anytime that the fucking Hollywood is preaching to you about anything, let's just remember that they're fucking in bed with China, which, like you said, is using slave labor. So, like, quit pretending like you got some sort of moral high ground. All right, let's continue reading here. Candidate would an opponent hitting the company's reputation and contracting its high-minded social justice rhetoric with its other behavior. Nike embraced Colin Kaepernick, the woke former quarterback. One ad said, but rather than hiring American, Nike chose China. The ad mentioned CEO John Donahue and claims the company produced shoes in a factory in regions suspected of using forced Uyghur labor. With a name like that, they don't even sound like people. They gotta work on that.
The Uyghurs?
No, it's not the Uyghurs. It's the Uyghur. The Uyghurs. The Yuggers?
Maybe that is how you spell Uyghurs.
They're ogres. They got real life ogres. That's how they came up with the Shrek story. All right. And I was just like, I would love to see just like more personal attacks on random people. Can you imagine if like we all contributed just to make a personal attack like on Sid? Like, why is Sid big dogging the Shedcast? Like, just everyone turns on their TV or it's just like, are you sick of Bill? Do you know he's eating lunch at the same place for 15 years and still gives a shitty tip? And do you know he was passed on a job promotion 3 times because he's fat and ugly? Here's Bill. Just fucking, like, I just love the idea of just more just attack ads on non-politicians. Just recreate that entire genre and go after anybody. Are you sick of Justin Bieber telling you that he's lonely? Here's Justin Bieber's mansion. Here's the hot chick that he's banging. Here's the hot side piece that he's banging. People might not be familiar with that one. We did a whole Shedcast where I got pretty heated with Sid about how Justin Bieber doesn't have the right to be lonely, and the Shedcast has never been the same because he stopped showing up for it.
He's got a twisted worldview that we're trying to...
I know. We're trying to help him out here. All right. Before we call it an episode, Drive, D-R-Y-V. I think, is there an E at the end? I'm not sure. I think promo code is RYM1. I don't even know. Just go buy the shit. You keep it stocked in your car. You put it in your lip. It gives you a nice jolt of caffeine, B vitamins, L-theanine, and others. I can tell you as a person who is drinking a shit ton of energy drinks, I have stopped. I keep this in my car. I don't need to go find cups of coffee. I'm an ADD crazy drinking coffee moron, and I used to drink a lot of Red Bull, and I've stopped. DRYV, fantastic product. It comes in small patches that got 15, these energy things in them. So, and it's like $3. So for the price of a single energy drink, you can put one of these in your car and have 12 times where you're like tired late at night looking for a place for coffee and just be like, oh yeah, I've got the drive here. Before I call it an episode, and this was great to be back in the shed. I hope to be, I know I've said it before, but hopefully in the very near future, we will go back to videos out of the shed. I got to figure out exactly when I will be recording that, but hopefully that will be happening in the future. Shedcast, hopefully Bodega Summer. We're going to be experimenting with different bodega drugs all summer long. You guys got any new tunes coming out?
We have actually May 30th. If this comes out before then or not, doesn't matter. May 30th, we're dropping our EP called The Blue Plate Special. Me and Sid Floyd, produced by Jaded Eye. So you just
How many songs?
It's 4.
Is it stuff that we've heard before?
You may have heard it because you're here,
but these guys have not.
If you've been to a live performance, then you've definitely heard a couple of them.
Oh, and I'm going to tease some dates. Go to RobbieTheFire.com because I'm going to have some ticket links up for some big shows. July 3rd and 4th with BK Chris is confirmed. I'm confirmed. Shedcast boys are confirmed. We're going to be doing Philly on... maybe I have that. Yeah, we're going to be doing Philly July 3rd, back out in Tom's backyard. That's going to be a fun show. We did it last year on the Summer Porch Tour, and it was an amazing time. Then July 4th, we're going to be back in Max's backyard doing a July 4th extravaganza, and the Shedcast boys will be playing some tunes, and then there's going to be live fireworks. Both of those shows are going to be an absolute party, and honestly, the heart of Summer Porch Tour. Then at the end of Summer Porch Tour, I got to get a date on the calendar, but a friend of the show, CPU God, bought himself a farm about a half hour outside of Nashville. So I think we're going to do a Saturday, probably just me, BK Chris on that one, and a live podcast with CPU God. Boston, we are going to be doing the Smoke Out Bug Out live. I believe that's going to be July 17th. That date will also be up on my website. Shedcast boys will be there performing. I will be doing stand-up. BK Chris will be doing stand-up. There will probably be another comic on the show, and then we'll take a break, and we will do the Smoke Out Bug Out live, which is always a blast. Then I've also, Connecticut people, I've got shows with Dave Smith coming up in Norwalk. That's super soon. And New York people, I've got shows with Dave Smith in Brooklyn. Dude, both of those shows are going to be great. I haven't really done any shows with Dave in a while. He's going to be headlining. I'm featuring. BK Chris is hosting. The room in Brooklyn I've done before. It is Old Man Hustle. Harrington, who you guys remember and love, books that place. It is a great room for comedy. Please come out for that show. If you're living in New York, I'm telling you, that show is going to be a fucking blast. And then the Connecticut ones are going to be super cool. I'm curious to see how many Connecticut fans we have. Mike Nice, get some tickets. You guys should show up for that one. And I think that's all I got to promote before we call an episode. Mike Nice, anything you want to throw out there for the good Run Your Mouth listeners?
Just follow the Shedcast and me, Mike Nice CT, and your boy Sid Floyd,
who hopefully will show up again so we can get back to what we do.
That's right.
And go check out, by the way, there's a whole archive of the Shedcast. We've done, I don't know, I feel like I've been doing them for a year now. So
you've been here for almost half of them, I think, now, almost.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's a lot of Shedcasts. There are a lot of stories that have been told. There's no politics. It's just late night drinking and buffoonery. So go check that out. And that is it for this week's episode. Later!
Shot my way out. I started shooting, so I blasted my way out of there.
I don't know why the finish ain't in sight. I don't know why my shit is not changing. When we choose wrong, will it still feel right? I don't know, tell me, do you feel the same, man? Coming up, we were scared with the luck, and for years, feeling stuck with the shipping on my life, though. And it ain't changing for nothing if we don't see nothing coming, but still stand with my feet where they from, and I hold 3 for the walk, 2 for my dogs, 1 for this motherfucking line they won't cross. If they try, then their mind is all lost. Thought you had it all, but the time is all off, dog. Who's the one posted up all night? Who's the one by your side when they side one fight? Who's the one held you down when that shit got light? Who's the one who in your circle when your shit got tight? It's like Sin Floyd, born to be the people's champ. Rolling up a diesel brand, speaking through the frequency and speaker amps. Let my flow leave a stamp on this. Bet my team grabbed the game with the clamp on grips. We the one with the lungs for the tree all day, and we the ones next up for the run, okay? Hey. So while we here, let me feel your vibe. You can blink one time, then it's by blue sky.
Goodbye to the blue sky. Bye bye blue sky. Goodbye to the blue sky. Bye bye blue sky. Bye bye blue sky. Bye bye blue sky.
Gotta get your weight up, gotta wake your brain up. Gotta hustle smarter, started stacking all my pay stubs. They want it, but they ain't us. My man's on probation. Cops ran up, had the pack, he had to stash it in his anus. What you know about that life though? Playing with the pipe though. Aimed it at himself and put it right through his pie hole. Couldn't take this life no more. He couldn't fight no more. This life will do that to you. Prozac couldn't ice the sore. But we all go through it, whatever it takes. We all gon' do it, take it day by day for the love of the music. But as long as it pays, you gon' do it, right?